GreyBeard and the Jersey Devil. Earl had worked for the Parks and Wildlife Department for nearly 20 years, patrolling the dense pine forests of South Jersey. He knew every winding trail, every hidden deer path, and every trick the woods could play on a man's mind. But one cold autumn night, something happened that no trick of the mind could explain. The night started like any other. Earl was checking on reports of illegal poaching near the Wharton State Forest. With his rifle slung over his shoulder and a thermos of black coffee in hand, he trudged through the underbrush, his flashlight slicing through the dark. The only sounds were the rustling of dry leaves and the distant hoot of an owl. Then silence. Not the natural kind where the wind settles and the animals sleep. No, this was an oppressive, unnatural silence, like the woods themselves were holding their breath. Earl stopped walking, his skin crawling. The hair on his arms stood up under his thick ranger's coat. That's when he heard it. A scream, high-pitched and inhuman, echoing through the trees. Earl's blood turned to ice. It wasn't the cry of a bobcat nor the screech of an owl. It was something else. Something wrong. He turned in the direction of the sound, his heart pounding. That's when he saw it. Perched on a low-hanging branch was a creature out of a nightmare. It was taller than a man, with the body of a gaunt, leathery beast. Its wings, tattered and bat-like, twitched as if eager to take flight. Two burning red eyes locked onto Earl's, and in that moment he knew this was the Jersey Devil. Earl did what any sane man would do. He raised his rifle. Before he could fire, the creature lunged. With a rush of wind and a blur of black, it was on him, its talons raking across his chest. Earl fell back, his gun skidding away into the leaves. He could feel the creature's hot breath, reeking of decay as it loomed over him. But just as suddenly as it attacked, it stopped. It stared at him as if recognizing something. Then, with a screech, it took off into the sky, disappearing into the night. Earl lay there for what felt like hours before finally gathering the courage to stand. He retrieved his gun, stumbled back to his truck, and drove home in stunned silence. The next morning, when he looked in the mirror, he saw what the devil had left behind. His jet-black beard, once the pride of his rugged outdoorsman look, had turned completely gray. The doctor called it shock-induced depigmentation. Earl called it something else. From that night on, no one called him Earl anymore. He was simply known as GreyBeard, the man who stared into the eyes of the Jersey Devil and lived to tell the tale. And though he never saw the creature again, he always felt like it was watching. Somewhere, in the deep, whispering woods, waiting,